The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 233. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She was the former Miss Hawaii USA 2015. She was also placed top 10 at Miss USA. She also won Miss Hawaii Teen USA 2008, and she is also a fashion blogger, so many tricks up her sleeve, and I'm just really excited to have her on and share her story. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Emma Wo. Emma, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Hey, Sheena, I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, I'm happy to introduce myself, although you did a great job. So I'm a former Miss Hawaii USA last year, Miss Hawaii Teen USA back in my senior year of high school. Currently, I'm a graduate student at New York University studying integrated marketing. So I'm back in Hawaii for the summer, back to New York City in August. So I'm kind of bi-coastal at the moment. And yeah, I started a fashion blog called The Aloha Babe about 4 years ago, kind of journaling my own personal style and using it as a resource for people to get to know me as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Emma, what's your cultural background?
So I'm actually 3/4 Chinese and 1/4 Irish. So I'm Hapa, I guess you would say.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
So this was so hard to narrow down because there are so many great ones out there, but the one I chose is actually anonymous author, but it says the quickest way to acquire self-confidence is to do exactly what you're afraid to do. And what I kind of take from that is like just facing your fears. And I know that especially as women, sometimes we can be scared of an outcome, but just kind of knowing that you can do what you were scared to do gives you so much confidence to continue down that path in the future.
Awesome. And I love that quote. And it's so true. Sometimes we got to feel the fear and do it anyway. And
absolutely.
It's something that we all go through. And I know it's, like you said, it's challenging, especially for Asian women, because sometimes we don't trust ourselves. We might think we fail, and we think if we fail, it's a bad thing, when really failure is the path to success. So, I mean, we all get it, the sweaty palms and the stuttering and stuff, but the more we face our fears, the better we become and the more confident we get to be. So, great quote. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
To me, being self-confident is just that if you use your skills and your knowledge and abilities toward the goals you set in your life, that you can just do anything. That's how I would describe my definition of self-confidence. Just being yourself and being proud of who you are and understanding that you can do anything you set your mind to. That's how I would describe it.
Awesome. That's a great definition. And it really does start with that belief in yourself. You know, the more you do that, the more you take action in your life and do the things that you want to do. So thanks so much for sharing that. And Emma, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I've never been a super non-confident person, but I definitely think that confidence is a process. I mean, you don't just come out of the womb being super confident. I remember in my teenage years, I was less confident. I was less trusting in myself and my own capabilities. I was more hesitant to take risks. And you know, in high school, of course, you compare yourself to other girls. I'm as an Asian woman, you compare yourself to people who don't necessarily look like you. And that's kind of toxic behavior. And I didn't really learn that until I was a little older. I know it can seem like some people are born with more confidence than others, and that might be true to a certain extent. Some people might have a little bit more innate confidence, but I just think that confidence is something that you can practice and you can build over time. Just because you're not confident in one moment, don't just think, oh my gosh, I'm just not as confident. I just don't believe in myself as much. You can absolutely build that skill. I mean, just like you can practice any other skill. Self-confidence is the same. And some of my best tips are, just tackling your fears head on, just like that quote. If you think you can't do something, the best way to build self-confidence in that moment is just to try it. I mean, just because you may fail, and I've done that many, many times, doesn't mean that you're not learning. And then also just like setting really solid goals for yourself and outlining the steps that you need to get there and realizing, that failure is just not the end of the world. If anything, it's like the biggest step toward getting self-confidence.
Thanks for sharing that. And, I can totally relate to you just, growing up being Asian, especially moving here to Canada. It's like, I didn't like how I looked. I've always, I always wanted to have the blonde hair. I wanted to change my name to Heather because, I didn't want to look Asian, right? Because it's not typical in Canada in like the 80s and 90s. But, as we learned, as we grow and learn to love ourselves, I just love the way I look. And I don't care if other people don't agree with me. It's something that I'm proud of. So, what was that point in your life when you realized, you can tackle on these things? You were more confident. You were, doing the fear, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. What was that aha moment?
For me, my aha moment was definitely competing in pageants. I never competed in pageants as a little girl, but my first one was when I was 17. And my mom and I have differing stories on how I got into pageants. I think she asked me to do it. I think she made me do it, but she thinks I wanted to do it. So I'm not sure, but I think that, in a pageant, there's definitely a bit of like scoping out the competition, I like to say. And it's really hard to not compare yourself to the other contestants. But of course, I wanted to win, And so you find in yourself what makes you stand out and what makes you different and how you can capitalize on those things to make yourself stand out. And then it kind of forced me to identify what aspects of myself that were super unique and that I really, really loved and wanted to show off. And for me, that was, my sense of humor and other things like that. And it made me feel really confident. So I think that just my experience in pageantry helped me to love myself and understand what made me different is what gave me that X factor. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I'm really glad that, you're talking about pageants and how it's helped you, because I know sometimes in the media, they have like this negative perception of it when in reality, it's really helping women out there, especially share a platform where they can, share their message, share their mission, and, get to travel around the world and help other people in the process. So, I'm always a big fan of it because it helps people gain confidence, right?
Absolutely.
No matter how you see it. And, because of that, what's your life been like now?
I don't think self-confidence is black and white. Like you're either self-confident or you're not. I still absolutely have my days when, I'm just not feeling myself. And that's okay. And I think that, it's not always, it's just a scale. And I consider myself a self-confident person overall, but I of course have my insecurities. And what my life is like overall after my aha moment is just more fulfilled, more fun. I'm taking greater risks and I'm reaping greater rewards. I just live life with a little more, less fear. And I think it's a really liberating feeling. I don't know if too many people know this, but people know that I won Miss Hawaii last year, but people don't know that 2 years before that, I also competed in Miss Hawaii and I came in third. And at the time, I was devastated. But what I learned after was that just means it wasn't the right timing for me. Just because something doesn't happen to you, doesn't mean that you are less than. It just means that you have more to work on and you just need to dive deeper into what you're doing and the right time will happen for you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I think, that's a great lesson to learn. Like, even though you didn't win, you kept on going anyways. Confidence is sometimes falling down 7 times and getting back up 8 until you reach that end goal. There's so many examples out there, like, Thomas Edison, 10,000 ways for a light bulb not to work, or
totally,
things like that. And we have to realize, sometimes it might take 2 or 3 times or 10,000 times. We don't know. It all depends on how bad you want it. So I'm really glad you're able to share that part. And you're right. Self-confidence is like a forever journey, right?
Absolutely.
There's days where I just want to like hide and eat ice cream all day and like Netflix binge, and we all have those days, and it's okay.
Of course we do, yes.
It's okay, right?
Absolutely.
Before I would feel bad, now it's like, you know what? It's just one of those days. So thanks for sharing that. And Emma, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey of self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
So my one tip is just like when I'm doubting myself, I just ask myself, like, what is the worst that could happen? Like in this moment, what's the worst that could happen? When I lost Miss Hawaii and I thought that was like the worst thing that could ever happen, I just took a year off and I tried to find myself. And I actually tried to, when you're competing for a pageant, you're basically like applying for a job. So how can I look better on my quote unquote pageant resume. But that applies to everything else in life. Like, what steps in your life can you take to make yourself like a better version of yourself? Because I guarantee if you follow your passions and your dreams, if your dream is to do more work in the community and you do that, you'll be more self-confident because you've accomplished more. You know, if that's building a greater resume and getting that dream job that you're after, just continuing to work on yourself and build yourself is going to give you that confidence you need to achieve that ultimate goal. So just asking yourself, what's the worst that could happen, I think always helps me to realize that, wow, like the worst that could happen is not really as scary as I'm building this up in my mind. You know, I always say that there's no such thing as failure. Either you learn or you grow.
Awesome. And, I actually use that too. Sometimes when there's something that I'm scared, I say that same question, what's the worst that could happen? And if you're okay with that outcome, then, just go ahead and do the thing. And it's like, a big weight off your shoulders because it's like you've accepted the worst, but, it doesn't mean it will happen. Like, the opposite could happen as well. So I think that's a great thing to do. Because it really does help you become more confident. And Emma, if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you or maybe check out your blog, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook. Just type in my name, Emma Woe. You can also find me on Instagram, Emma_Woe. I'm on Snapchat, Emma Woe, no spaces. And then I also have my fashion blog, of course. So you can find me at The Aloha Babe, www.thealohababe.com, and also reach out to me, whether you're a pageant girl, whether you're not a pageant girl. I love to hear your stories and help anyone struggling with what I did. I mean, there's so many times that I've doubted myself just being an Asian American woman. And I know that you do so much good work on self-confidence in this field. And I just want to help other Asian American women or any woman in any way I can. So definitely reach out to me. And I'd love to be a part of your journey.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that info, Emma. And listeners, if you want to connect with Emma, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Emma's name. Her show notes will pop up, along with everything else we talked about. And I really want to thank Emma for taking the time to share her story and tips with us. So thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was an honor to have you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Get your free audiobook by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.